Hey guys, we are on chapter 11, hair cutting. I know you're wondering why we're doing hair cutting now. We've already learned haircuts. That was the first thing I taught you, right? Well, now let's learn some more about the theory of it. So, when learning hair cutting, all right, let's talk about the game Jenga. Have you ever started playing the game of Jenga and started at the very bottom, taking out the bottom piece? No. Why? Because that's taking the foundation out, and what would happen? The whole tower would tilt over. Or building a house, what is built first? The foundation. When applying makeup, what's the first step? You apply foundation. Haircutting is the foundation of your profession. Learning how to do it properly, will set you up for the success in all other areas. If that haircut is not right, that hairstyle is not going to be right, that chemical wave is not going to be right, and you're going to struggle to do it. So why study haircutting? Why not? What profession are you in? You're in cosmetology. Imagine looking at a haircut and knowing exactly how to recreate that shape. And you think right now, I will never know how to do that. You really will. You will be able to look at a haircut in the future, probably before you even get out of school, and you'll say, that's a 90-degree haircut right there, or that's long layers. That's a 45-degree haircut. I know that style right there. Cutting hair confidently can bring success to every cosmetologist. And as long as you're doing it confidently and you look like you know what you're doing, hey, that's the start of it. Okay? Act like you know what you're doing. Education in haircutting principles and precision haircutting method is the best way to develop the foundational skills needed. Precision haircutting is not just being precise in your haircut, it is applying a systematic plan. Combining this plan with haircutting principles helps you better understand how to approach any haircut, apply basic haircutting techniques, and be familiar with frequently used haircutting tools. Now, I'm not saying go out there and pretend like you know how to do everything and be so confident that you're pure cocky about it, but be confident in knowing that, hey, if I start at the basics, go back to these basic skills that I pure learned when I was in Miss Carroll's beginner class, and take those steps, but don't make it look like, hey, I went back to kindergarten and I'm starting to learn how to color in these lines all over again. But you're going to do that. You don't realize, but you will go back to them basic steps in every haircut you do. And you may join that 45-degree haircut and bring it into a 90-degree. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, I just did that. And look at how wonderful this haircut looks. And you'll have confidence in yourself. And the client that's sitting in your chair will have confidence in you also. Cosmetologists should study and have a thorough understanding of haircutting because haircutting is the basic foundation skill upon which all designs are built. Being able to create or duplicate a haircut from a photo builds confidence, trust, and loyalty between cosmetologists and clients. You should also be able to tell your client whether that haircut is going to look good on them and be able to tell them, hey, well, you see, this person in this photo has very thick hair where you've got thin hair. So now, just to know that it may not look the same on you, okay? So never tell the client, yes, I can get this hairstyle to look exactly. Say I can get it close to it, but it may not look exactly like it, okay? So not only can you do the haircut or be able to do the haircut, but you should be able to tell them, yes, I can or I can't, or let's see what we can do, okay? Being able to create or duplicate a haircut that is easy to style and maintain will make clients happy with their experience and build repeat service, which increases your career opportunities and income. Studying the fundamentals allows you to understand advanced haircutting techniques. All right, so let's go back to the lines. And we've talked about the haircutting lines, sections, and angles. Lines, straight, curved, shape, section, and angle. All haircuts are made up of lines, sections, and angles. A line is a thin, continuous mark used as a guide. The two basic lines used in haircutting are straight and curved. The head itself is made up of curved and straight lines. When you cut lines in a haircut, the hair falls into a shape. A section is the working area that the hair is separated into before cutting. An angle is created when the space between two lines or surfaces intersect at a given point. The angle at which you cut the line is what gives the hair direction and shape. Angles are important elements in creating a strong foundation and consistency in a haircut because this is how the shapes are created. There are three types of straight lines in haircutting: horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. All right, the types of haircut lines, again, horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. The horizontal, these are parallel to the floor and relative to the horizon. Horizontal lines direct the eye from one side to the other. Horizontal lines build weight. They create one length, low elevation haircuts and add weight. Vertical lines, they're usually described in terms of up and down and are the opposite of horizontal. Vertical lines remove weight to create graduated or layered haircuts and are used with higher elevations. Diagonal lines are between horizontal and vertical, and they have a slanting or sloping directions. Beveling and stacking techniques using diagonal lines to create angles by cutting hair ends with a slight increase or decrease in length. Beveling also can be accomplished by rolling the hair around the index and middle fingers to flip the hair up or under and then cut. All right, then you got the horseshoe section. It separates the hair at the parietal ridge to below the crown, providing you with control when layering or graduating the hair. The pivoting section, also referred to as a pie-shaped section, rotates from the central point and is used in layering and graduation. And the profile section, the center forehead to center nape, divides the head into two sections, a right and a left profile, and facilitates subsectioning. The radial section, a section that is taken from ear to ear and divides the head from front to back, starting behind the apex in the crown. And the elevation is projecting or lifting, creates graduation. Elevation is also known as projection or lifting, is a degree at which a section or subsection of the hair is held or elevated from the head when cutting. Elevation creates graduation, a gradual progression of lengths from longest to shortest that are cut to a fixed guideline. It is usually described in degrees. In a blunt or one length haircut, there is no elevation. Therefore, it is 0 degrees. Elevation occurs when you lift any hair section above 0 degrees. Any haircut that is not a single length requires the use of elevation. And the highest degree of elevation is 180 and is relative to the head form. Now the hair sections. This first one up here, you can section the hair like this. You know, this is not the way I do the subsections, but it is the way some people do subsections. For control during haircutting, the hair is parted into working areas called sections. Subsections, each section may be divided into smaller areas called subsections. Part or partings, the line dividing the hair at the scalp. The parting the hair separates one section of the hair from another, creating subsections. And I did not want to go through all of the haircuts with you because you've already done all of this. So I've only picked out the ones that we need to go through. So the general hair cutting techniques and tips, again, always make consistent and clean partings. And we've been over this every time. This makes, which places an even amount of hair in each subsection and produces more precise results and ensures your lines and sections are clean and balanced. Take extra care when working at the crown and neckline, which sometimes have very strong growth patterns. Remember the swirls and all that stuff that you do not want to cut them too short if there are cowlicks in there or anything like that. Allow for protrusion of the ear by keeping more weight in this area or cutting with minimal tension. Always use consistent tension. Maintain light tension by using the wide teeth of the comb and not pulling the subsection too tightly. If the head position is not upright or in the position detected by the haircut, it may alter the amount of elevation and over direction. So always make sure, because some people will lean when you're combing their hair, make sure their head is set straight back up. Always cross check. Remember, if you're cutting vertically, to go back and cross check it horizontally. Use the mirror to see if your elevation is right. I know you don't have mirrors in here, but when you get out on the floor and when you get in the salon, you will have mirrors to check to make sure it is even up front and in the back. You can turn around and you can use that mirror as your guide. Check both sides by standing in front of your client. You can also have them stand to check the balance. When cutting a stationary guide or over directing, stand in front of your section and always over direct towards your body, your stationary guide or predetermined point. This ensures balance and control. All right, some more hair cutting tips. Remember that curly hair shrinks more than straight hair, anywhere from 0.5 to 2 inches or more. Always leave the length longer than the desired results. Hair color impacts hair cutting. When selecting a style for the client, consider existing color and the color patterns, as well as desired results. Color can give the illusion of length, density, or brightness. Always use a new razor with each client so that it is sharp. Sometimes you must replace the blade during a cut with coarse hair texture to ensure it's sharp enough to avoid frizz. Be mindful of your verbiage. Avoid saying women's cut or men's cut. Reference length instead of gender, as all genders can have long or short hair. So you don't want to say, I'm doing a women's cut today on Tina. You want to say, I'm doing a layered haircut today on Tina. We want to be mindful of everything. Base price point on style, not gender. Consider whether your client wants their hair styled and the type of style requested. It is important to understand how curly hair behaves after it is cut and dried. Although you can apply a cutting technique to curly hair, you may get different results when cutting straight hair. Curl patterns can range from slightly wavy to curly and tight curled. Curly hair clients may have fine, medium, or coarse texture with a density ranging from thin to thick, just like clients with straight hair. Consider all three things: density, texture, and curl pattern, along with the face shape and desired results when making cutting decisions. Curly hair can appear shorter after it dries because of shrinking effects. The curlier the hair, the more it will shrink. For every 0.25 inches that you cut when the hair is wet, it will shrink up to 1 to 2 inches when dry, depending on the curl pattern. Shrinkage guides is wavy is 1% to 20%, curly 20% to 50%, and coily zigzag coily is 50 to 90%. Maintain consistent hair dampness while cutting the hair. Curly hair has more volume than straight hair when dry, even if it's fine and with low density. This means you will generally need to leave lengths longer, which ultimately helps weigh the hair down and keep the shape from ending up too short. In general, do not use a razor. I'll repeat that. Do not use a razor on curly hair that is fine or damaged. This weakens the cuticle and causes hair frizz. Choose your texturizing techniques carefully. Consider avoiding the razor and work mostly with point cutting and freehand notching to remove bulk and weight. Not all cuts need texture. Avoid because the natural hair already contains texture. Curly textured hair clients purchase 3 times the amount of product as other clients. Familiarize yourself with the best hair products to suit their needs. 4 essential haircuts. The art of haircutting is made up of variations of 4 basic haircuts: blunt, graduated, layered, and long layered. An understanding of these basic haircuts is essential before you can begin experimenting with other haircuts and effects. We have the blunt haircut, also known as one length. All the hair comes to a single hanging level, forming a weight line. The weight line is a visual weight line in the haircut where the ends of the hair hang together. The blunt haircut is also referred to as a zero elevation cut or no elevation cut because it has no elevation or over direction. It is a cut with a stationary guide. Blunt haircuts are great for finer or thinner hair types because all the hair is cut to one length, therefore making it appear thicker. Graduated haircut is a slow or immediate buildup of weight caused by cutting the hair with tension, low to medium elevation, or over direction. The most common elevation is 45 degrees. In a graduated haircut, there is a visual buildup of weight. The hair ends appear to be stacked. There are many variations and effects you can create with graduation by adjusting the degree of elevation, the amount of over direction, or your cutting line. Layered haircuts, achieved by cutting the hair with elevation or over direction. The hair is cut at a higher elevation, usually 90 degrees. Layered haircuts generally leave less weight than graduated haircuts. Layers create movements and volumes in the hair by releasing weight. Long layered haircut, the hair is cut at 90-degree elevation and then over directed to maintain length and weight at the perimeter. The result is the length and weight of the hair being elevated from 0 degree to 180 degrees when over directed. This technique gives more volume to hairstyles and can be combined with other basic haircuts. You can create any haircut using these 4 basic concepts. Every haircut is made up of 1, 2, or 3 of these basic techniques. Add a little texturizing, slide cutting, or shear over comb cutting, and you have advanced hair cutting. Advanced hair cutting simply requires learning the basics and then applying them in the combination to create in any combination to create unlimited shapes and effects. The blunt haircut, also known as bob, one length, one level, a page boy haircut, is a classic. Blunt cuts can be designed with or without bangs, also called a fringe, on straight or curly hair, and with short, medium, or long hair. Although the length of the cut appears simple, the cut success relies on the precision, which can be anything but simple when working with a variety of hair types, growth patterns, and a diverse client. The client's head should be slightly tilted forward when cutting the back sections on wet, straight to wavy hair, and move slowly upright and straight forward as you incorporate the sides and complete the remainder of the cut. When cutting a blunt cut, be aware of the crown area, sometimes called the danger zone, because this is where the irregular growth patterns are most often found. The blunt haircut is the basis for many other classic cuts, such as the A-line with fringe, the blunt bob with fringe, or the layered bob on curly hair. The tips for the blunt haircut: always cut with minimal or no tension, work with the hair's natural growth patterns, always comb the section twice before cutting, always maintain an even amount of moisture in the hair. When cutting dry, the hair will be in its natural fall. Blunt cuts can create a round shape on an unstraightened textured hair. Pay close attention to growth patterns at the crown. To avoid creating a hole in your line, allow the protrusion of the ears when cutting wet and directing the hair. The graduated haircut is the basic haircut. Use vertical, horizontal, and diagonal cutting lines with a 45-degree elevation at the back, 1 finger's depth on the sides, and a 90-degree elevation for the layers. The page's edges make a straight line if you're holding a book and kind of open it a little bit like a blunt cut. Now turn the book on the other way, open it in the middle, and let the pages flop down on either side. The page's edge make a beveled line like a graduated haircut. Alright, so down at the bottom, the finished graduated haircut. This haircut is created using diagonal partings that connect at the back of the ear to the front of the ear. The diagonal forward partings point down towards the face. The classic round graduated haircut, behind the ear, the diagonal partings point down towards the back. The sides are elevated over directed to the back of the ear, producing more length towards the face. The back is cut using a traveling guideline with each section over directed to the previous section. Okay, tips for the graduated haircut with the guy. Heavier graduated haircuts, those cut with lower elevations, work well on hair that expands when dry. Coarse textures and curly hair will appear to graduate more than straight hair. Keep your elevation below 45 when working on these hair types. Graduation builds weight that can make thin or fine hair appear thicker and fuller. However, if hair is fine and thin, avoid creating heavy weight lines. The uniform layered haircut. The third basic haircut is that all hair is elevated to 90 degrees from the scalp and cut in the same length. Your guide is an interior traveling guide that is inside the haircut rather than on the perimeter. The resulting shape may appear soft and rounded with no buildup of weight or corners, and that is in the top left-hand corner of your page. The hair's perimeter falls softly because the vertical sections in the interior reduce weight. The cut can be established on a variety of lengths and textures. There are many variations on the basic layered haircut, as you see in the pictures below with the 3 people. If you followed a uniform layering technique but cut the hair much shorter to 1 inch or so, you will create a pixie crop, a Caesar haircut. The crop style means cutting less than finger's length. If you follow the same method but cut the corners by holding your fingers vertically and not following the head form, you can create a square shape, which is common when a stronger line is desired. Cutting the corners and rounding the shape will alternatively soften the look. Your professional experience, face, shape, knowledge, and proper consultation allow you to make the best decision for your client. The long layered haircut. Begin by cutting your perimeter line. After the perimeter is complete, Create layers using 45-degree elevation along the front hairline and sides in the front of the ear. Now you see I'm saying something different than how I actually taught you. And you will learn something different all along. There's many ways to do haircuts as well as many ways to do colors. Okay, when layering short hair, best results are achieved with medium to thicker density hair. Cutting thin hair too short can expose the scalp. Beyond basic hair cutting tips. To go beyond the basic haircut, there are many techniques you can use to create different effects. Make wild hairlines calm down, thick hair behave like thinner hair, or fine hair appear fuller. Create more movement and add or reduce volume. Compensate for various growth patterns on the same head of hair. Before performing any of these techniques, check your client's curl pattern, as the true length may not be visible in the natural form. You could risk cutting it unevenly, cutting it too short, or leaving too much length. Bangs. The bang area includes the hair that lies between the two front corners or approximately between the outer corners of the eyes. Because much of our haircutting history comes from England, you sometimes hear the word fringe because instead of bangs, they mean the same thing. Locate the bang area. Note the bang area. When cutting the bangs, ensure the hair is either damp or completely dry. When combing preparing to cut the bangs, do not use tension. Instead, allow the hair's natural lift. Also, ensure the client's eyes are closed and the brow area is relaxed. The amount of hair and sectioning for the bang area is based on the client's head shape. The natural distribution, meaning where and how the hair is moved over the head when locating the bang area. Every head is different, and you must ensure that you cut only the hair that falls in that area. Otherwise, you can end up with short pieces falling where you don't want them to. Excuse me. Otherwise, you can end up with short pieces. Only cut beyond the bang area. Avoid cutting bangs on clients with strong cowlicks and low facial hairlines. A cowlick is prone to lift and stand strong. When left longer, a cowlick normally lays in the desired direction. A low facial hairline shortens the forehead's length. Always consider suitably texture and face shape. Asymmetric bangs are designed for all hair lengths. This bang style makes a statement and can vary from subtle to bold. Asymmetric bangs are created with shears by sectioning an offset triangle section and over-directing each section to the stationary guide. Side swept bangs are most on mid-length to long hair. This bang is worn on the side and works great for the clients with natural side parts. Center swept bangs or curtain bangs give a client fringe with length to pull back. They can be worn with hair pulled back or for alternative styling options. Versatile bangs are designed for all hair lengths. This bang type can be worn on either side. Curly bangs designed for all hair lengths. This bang can be worn on either side. And square bangs are designed for all hair lengths and are created using shears and can be worn heavy or soft. Slide cutting is a method of cutting or layering the hair in which the fingers and shears glide along the edge of the hair. It is useful for removing length, blending shorter lengths to long hair, layering the very long hair to keep weight at the perimeter, and creating soft ends. The basic steps when working with the shear over comb techniques are summarized as follows. Stand or sit directly in front of the section you are working on. Place the comb teeth first onto the hairline and turn the comb so that the teeth are angled away from the head. With the steel blade of the shears parallel to the spine of the comb. Move the comb up the head, continually opening and closing the thumb of the blade smoothly and quickly. Angle the comb further away from the head as you reach the area you are blending to avoid cutting into the length weight. And I will be showing you this later on, so you will get to know how to do this stuff also. Texturizing is the process of removing excess bulk without shortening the length. And you can do this in several ways. You can use your texturizing shears, you can use a razor, or you can use your own shears or thinning shears, okay? So you can use point cutting to do it, and that's with your regular shears. You can use texturizing shears, notching, another version of point cutting, and can be done with a straight or notching shears. Freehand notching uses the tips of the shears. Affiliating, also known as slithering, is the process of thinning the hair to the graduated lengths with the shears. Texturizing with shears is slicing, a technique that removes weight and adds movement throughout the hair. Carving, a version of slicing that creates a visual separation in the hair. It works best on short hair, and place the steel blade into the hair and rest it on the scalp. Texturizing with the razor. I love doing this, especially on guys' hair that's real thick. I love doing it. Removing weight to taper the ends, or on women's hair that's short also, when they want some volume up there, that razor will give them some volume. Removing the weight to taper the ends, the razor to remove weight to taper hair. Freehand slicing at the mid shaft. Use this technique on wet hair throughout the sections. And then we have texturizing with the razor. Freehand slicing with razor on the ends. You can also use freehand slicing on the ends of the hair to produce a softer perimeter or create separation throughout the shape. Razor over comb is a technique. The comb and razor are used on the hair surface, which softens weight lines and causes the hair to lie closer to the head. Razor rotation is a technique, is very similar to razor over comb. Okay, the basic haircuts enhanced with texturizing are the blunt haircut without texturizing and the texturized blunt haircut. So you can see the difference in these haircuts. Then you got the enhanced texturizing graduated haircut and the texturized graduated haircut right here, with and without. Now you got a uniform layered haircut without and a uniform layered haircut with. Okay, now we got the basic clipper cutting. In this cut, the hair is cropped close along the bottom of the sides and becomes longer as it travels up the head. And if you'll notice, it is a 90-degree haircut because it is going straight up away from the head, okay? The clipper can be positioned horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Clipper cutting with attachments using the length of the guard attachments is a quick and easy way to create short haircuts. So mine goes up to an inch long, and I'm sure you can buy them even longer, but I don't need any longer than that. Then we got fading. A fade is a tapered haircut where the hair transitions from one length to the next, creating a fade look with no hard lines. Then you got the lineup, and you're going to use your edgers or your y'all have the little peanuts, but even them are not as good as the edgers. And lineup is when straight lines or sharp angles are shaped in the natural hairline to change the look of an existing hairlines. This can be created with clippers or trimmers. And they have a thing called T-edgers, and they're really good for that. Tips for clipper cutting: always work against a natural growth pattern, especially at the nape on low fades and straighter hair. This ensures you lift the hair away from the head and cut the hair evenly. Clipper directions changes depending on whether you are cutting coarse, straight, or textured hair. Always work with smaller sections using The clipper over comb technique, do not try to cut all the way across the entire length of the comb. The area you're cutting should be no wider than 3 inches. Okay, so what we've learned is how we can explain why cosmetologists need a thorough understanding of hair cutting. Of course we do. That's what we're doing. Define hair cutting. We can do that in terms of lines, sections, angles, elevation, finger angle, guidelines, and over direction. We can describe the role of growth pattern, density, texture, and wave pattern to determine the behavior of the hair. We can demonstrate and explain the uses of various hair cutting shears. We can demonstrate how to effectively hold hair cutting shears. We can demonstrate and explain the uses of the various hair cutting tools. We can demonstrate the 3 body positions to ensure healthier posture while creating a haircut. We can list the 4 strategies for proper safety in hair cutting. We can explain general hair cutting techniques for any haircut. We can perform the 4 basic haircuts. We can outline cutting techniques for bangs, razor cutting, slide cutting, and shear over comb. We can explain the 3 different texturizing techniques performed with shears, and we can explain clipper cut styles and techniques. Now, as usual, I need you to answer your check-in questions in your book, and I hope you followed along in this book and read through it. If not, please read through this book. Highlight anything that you need to ask me about, because you will be asked questions on your test about things in this book that I didn't go over, and there were reasons why I didn't go over it, and that's so you will read it. Okay, so answer the questions. Please number your answers and put them in the box below.